When the devil came and tempted Jesus to jump off that cliff and said that the scripture says that the angels will catch him and he won't even hurt his foot or whatever, I'm paraphrasing. It's funny how the devil tried to test the word with the word, because Jesus is the word. Jesus came back with a counter and said, the scripture also says, do not test the Lord your God. So if the devil came and tested Jesus and manipulated him with the word, what makes you think that you're counted out? This is why it's so important that you know the word for yourself. This is why it's so important when you don't feel like praying, you counter that thing and you pray anyway. This is why it's so important when you don't feel like going to church, you get up and you go anyway. This is why it's so important when you don't feel like listening to worship music, you put it on anyway. Because the enemy is coming to manipulate your mind, but you have to come back and counter that thing. You have to come back and be like, no, I am going to read my word today. No, I am going to pray to the Lord my God today. No, I am going to go to church today. No, I am going to worship the Lord today. Because that's how the enemy gets you. He gets you by making you, getting in your feelings, getting in your soul and manipulating things. So you need to be strong enough to get past your feelings, tap out of your feelings for 1 second and realize that this is the time for you to be pressing in. What the Lord has for you is so much greater and beyond what you could ever imagine. But in order to get to what God has for you, you have to be willing to fight that spiritual fight. This is not a game. We are in war daily, spiritually. The things that we the things that we hear, the things that we see, the things that we speak, there's power in your tongue. You cannot forget what the Lord your God has told you. You cannot forget what the Lord your God, what he used other people to prophesy over you. That it's going to come to pass. But the thing is you have to get in preparation for it. And the way you get in preparation and align with what God has for you and align with what the prophecy has been spoken over you, you have to be willing to fight. You think you're just going to get this stuff freely? You think the enemy doesn't know what God has planned for you? You think the enemy is just going to sit back and let it happen easily? Absolutely not. So you have to be ready. You have to be on guard and know when the enemy comes to manipulate and come for your mind, especially, you have to learn how to turn that thing. You have to learn how to really take your thoughts captives for real. Your purpose is not something to be played with. Your calling is not something to be played with. Quit letting the enemy run so rapid in your mind. You've given him way too much authority. He's manipulated you long enough. It's time to take a stand. It's time to remember who you are. It's time to remember what God has placed down inside of you and fight. Always remember that the battle is not yours, it's the Lord's. And the only way we're going to win and see the other side of this and start aligning into purpose and getting to where God has called us to be, we can't do it without Jesus. So if Jesus had to counter the enemy with the word, it's time for you to counter